our favorite type of pie as we start to kick off our presentation today.
All right. Well, yep. Hello, everyone. I am Lawrence Minnis, the co-host for today, and here with Shanye Johnson, our wonderful host. And we're here for another fantastic presentation. I'm excited about it, and we want to get everything moving so we can get as much time for our guest today, our guest panel. Please feel free to drop in a hello to let us know where you're from and what organization you're a part of and what part of the world you might be in, as well as to share your response to our question of the day. And if you haven't seen it, our question of the day is, what is your favorite pie? Right? Your favorite pie. And we've had a little bit early discussion about what will constitute a pie. So we're using a broad umbrella. So pizza pie, cobblers, just we can even include tarts if people would want to put that as well. So we're trying to be all encompassing and all inclusive here. Just as long as it's not a cupcake or a cake, then I think we can try to make it work. But please share share some of your responses for that, and we're going to go ahead as you're responding and move to our national updates in a moment.
Yes, so we have our national updates coming. If you have any national updates to share, now is the time. Please feel free to unmute yourself and share your updates with the group. We do ask that you keep your updates down to under 1 minute to make time for the rest of today's program. You can also share your updates and their links directly in the chat, and you can also post them on our forum as well.
So please feel free to unmute and share any national updates or announcements.
And thank you, Allison. Allison has posted the link for the monthly giveaway. Enter to win your chance at some money for your organization. So don't forget to do that. If you head to that link, you'll be able to fill that out and have your chance to be one of our grant winners.
I see lemon meringue in the list.
I haven't had that was my mom's favorite from like little calendars. It was just so good. All right, so we have also pumpkin. I love that this pie is pretty popular.
I've seen quite a few pumpkin.
And I don't know if any of y'all are headed over to HSUS. As for national updates, that is happening this week in San Antonio. There's going to be lots of folks that are participating on this call that are likely going to be down there. So feel free to connect, hop in the forum. Maybe you'll see some people that are going. You can meet up and have some connections. I actually met Mari Lou and Shahar previously at a conference. So you never know what can come across from, passing people and talking about the things that you love to do. So yes, Lucy, we are so excited to have y'all in Texas.
And then once you all connect through here, we can go at the expo and go have some pie. You can sort of exchange and share and taste some of the best pie that you can possibly find in around San Antonio.
I haven't Googled that yet, but if anyone needs me on the back end to start looking, I'm not above it. All right, y'all. So again, if you have any national updates, feel free. Hi, Chris. Feel free to go ahead and post that in the chat. We'll go ahead and move on to jumping right into our presentation. This will give our speakers ample amounts of time to talk to us about their amazing topic today, as well as us to have some time on the Q&A on the back end. So today we have Shahar, Marilu, and Anna coming to us from Four Winds Canine Connection. And this is a group that I am just so blown away by because it is built from passion to help others and to help the animals in our community. When I first met these two individuals, as well as now being connected to Anna, it was mind-blowing to me at the way that they brought together the idea of emotions with animals, emotions with people, and how that can help heal us. And that for me was something that I've felt for a while, but didn't know how to put into words, let alone into a program. So I'm really excited to hear what they are going to show us today and what they're going to talk about today. So if you guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about Four Winds Canine Connection and then kick off your presentation, we would be happy to hear.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Shanye. Appreciate it. So I'm Marilu Chanrasmi with Four Winds Connections. I'm going to just briefly introduce myself. Have been involved in animal welfare now, either working or volunteering for almost 2 decades, I would say, and as deeply passionate around human well-being in terms of healing, from a lived experience. And I think that's all I'm going to say, because there's going to be more. So I'm actually going to hand it off to Shahar, who I met over a decade ago.
Hi, everybody. My name is Shahar Fearing, and I'm also part of the leadership circle at Four Winds Connections. My background is in dog training, starting, I think it was over 25 years ago, training service dogs, and later on in my career, starting my own business and shifting a lot of the focus to behavioral issues. Love working with reactive dogs. So if anybody wants to chat about that at any point, I am your person. I will move things over to Anna.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us. I'm also part of the Four Winds Connections Leadership Circle with Marlu and Shahar. I have been involved in nonprofit work for my entire career. I have, like Marlu, just about 2 decades of experience in human and animal well-being organizations. I have a master's degree in public health, and I'm passionate about trauma-informed and culturally humble care, as well as sustaining psychologically safe workplaces. I imagine, like many of you, I believe that pets are medicine and that everyone deserves to love and be loved by an animal companion. I certainly have my fair share. I have, at the moment, 2 dogs and 3 cats.
Are you sure that's it, Anna? Are you sure that's it?
I didn't do a head count this morning, but I think that's where we are right now.
All right, so just a little bit more about Four Winds Connections and how we kind of came to be, and kind of like our framework and philosophy. A large part of what we do, some of you know me from my work around deep listening for social change. And, core is our belief of making sure that we listen to communities, right? And not going in with sort of a, this is what you're going to do, this is what you need. So at the core is listening to the communities and listening to ourselves, which is a large part of, I think a lot of times, many of us focus so much on the other without really focusing also on listening to ourselves. And then the third part is, I think listening to each other. And I think the three of us, as as Anna and Shahar mentioned, as part of the leadership circle. Actually, I think I'm going to hand it back to you, Anna, if that's all right, to kind of like share a little bit more about the leadership circle.
Yeah, of course. I love our mission, and this is a mission that's evolved over many months, and we've changed little words here and there, and it's been a beautiful journey as we bring these two sentences together. It seems like a very small thing, but for us, it was transformational work. Four Winds Connection Connections lives and loves radically at the intersection of human and animal well-being. We work within communities, support change, and invite healing through the human-animal bond. And as Marlu said, a big part of what we do as an organization is listen. We listen to what's needed in a community. We support their work. We know that community-led programming is incredibly powerful, and it's what we're all about. We don't just listen to community, however, we listen deeply to one another. And as you've probably gathered, Four Winds operates with a shared leadership model with no hierarchical structure. And we could go much more deeply into how this works, but if you're interested, you can Google the word sociocracy and learn more about how we tackle challenges, how we make meaningful decisions together. It's completely new to me in my career, and I've certainly worked in organizations that are very hierarchical, where people's opinions are valued differently, and that's not the case with our organization. So I'm happy to share about that with any of you if you're interested in this model of operation. At this point, I think, Mara Lou, you have a beautiful quote you'd like to share. Is that correct?
Yeah, so actually before I go there, you know, how did fostering healing kind of like come about in terms of you know, so as Shahar and I had shared with Shanye when we chatted, uh, I don't really believe in coincidences. Things happen. Central and fundamental to our work is our relationships we have. And these are what I consider like really deep, authentic relationships, you know, that we have sort of a guide or a North Star where we're heading, but we got to be able to listen to what's emerging to be able to tell, okay, we need to go this way, we need to go that way. And so, you know, I have been working with Indigenous communities in Minnesota for 15 plus years. And in that time, became dear friends with Cassie Holmes of Little Earth of United Tribes. And then for me, from a personal standpoint, being a former survivor as well of domestic violence, partner violence, that was something that was important to me, but I hadn't really focused so much on the human health or the domestic violence side. And then at one of our Little Earth pet clinics, Jake showed up, right? Dear friend of Cassie, right? He is the director at Women's Advocates, which is the domestic violence shelter. We connected. We just connected, and then we developed friendship, and then out of that ideas, you know, I consider myself a seed planter, sort of like, you know, talk about next thing we know, you know, we're meeting at Women's Advocate with the executive director and then others, you know, trusted partners, kind of like to explore what is the need, how can we support. Now they had a foster program that they already had, but what with the bond between them, but he indicated out of that came very clear, we have 90-day fosters, you know, who are able to take pets for domestic violence children, but a real need was for 72-hour fosters. When a survivor needs to get out, they need to get out now. They need a place for the pet, right? So we needed 72-hour fosters. And that was the biggest need that was articulated. I walked out of the shelter that day, and I tell this to Shahar because I hadn't seen Shahar maybe in years. Like we met, you know, when I began my work with Leech Lake Reservation. I'm out there outside the shelter trying to think about everything that had just been said by the executive director, by Jake, in terms of the need. And then all of a sudden, Shahar's face appeared. Now she didn't actually appear, but her just all of a sudden Shahar. And I knew then that somehow I needed to reconnect with Shahar about from a dog training perspective or trying to develop something workforce development around and fostering. So then I reconnected with her, and this is the quote. I sent her this quote, right? And I told her we need to create something like this. So for those that, I'm going to read this for those that maybe have challenges with like reading quickly, even though it's been up here a while. Um, of all the gifts that animals can offer, perhaps the greatest is this opportunity to delve deep inside ourselves, without judgment or timetables, with patience and an amazing capacity for forgiveness. Animals are the ideal guides through our inner landscapes. In moments of glorious agreement, as well as moments of frustrated disconnection, our relationships with our dogs serve us well, gently nudging us to greater understanding of the dynamics of two beings in willing partnership and to new insights into who we are. Once we begin the journey toward authentic connections we long for, we cannot help but be profoundly changed, often in ways we did not expect but welcome wholeheartedly. A life lived in relationship with an animal has the power to make us both fully human and more fully humane. And this spills over, as a fullness of soul inevitably does, to other relationships, wearing its magic across our entire lives. And with that, I'm going to hand it to Shahar.
So Mary Lou reached out to me to let me know that she has this fantastic idea. And at the time, we didn't know that that was the beginning of Four Winds Connections, but it was. I was just doing my own thing and working on my business. And Mary Lou wanted to know if we can create a program that would make fostering more accessible to people in the community that don't usually sign up to foster. And she wanted the focus to not just be on the animals, but on animal and human well-being as a whole. And really the only guideline that I got past that was the quote. And then she sent me off to build a program. And so from that quote, the Fostering Healing series was created. And the Fostering Healing series is a series of 3 different courses that introduces people to what fostering is, that walks them through a fostering experience, and then offers more advanced training for people who kind of catch the bug and want to do more, or maybe want to turn it into their part of their work and their career. That will be a place where they can learn how to do that. In a nutshell, that's what it was. But then it needed to be a lot more than that. And so the process for me was really profound, because really it gave me permission to bring all of myself to create something that is very, very heart-centered, and that it feels very true to what I want to give to the world. So it was a very personal work and very rewarding work and scary work. And in my mind, we were going to create this course, and we were going to meet in a beautiful prairie, and there would be butterflies flying around and a couple unicorns grazing in the side. And just by being there, we would all be better and transformed, and we would get what we need. And in reality, the course happened at the warehouse of a pet food shelf that the Bond Between was gracious enough to let us use. So right away there was a need to be creative with my idea of making the space being a part of the experience. And how can we create that in a warehouse without the trees and the butterflies and the unicorns? And we were able to do that. And so there was a curriculum, and the curriculum had to do with jumping back and forth between informational sessions about how to prepare your home, or how to read body language, or canine enrichment, and what turned out to be a little bit surprising, very, very deep work that we got to do with each other and with ourselves in the group. And so the space and the setup was very much a part of the creation of the curriculum. So every week before we started, Shahar was in the kitchen baking and cooking and making things from scratch, and just pouring my heart into delicious food that I got to bring with me, and coming up to the space. And there would always be flowers that I picked the day before from a friend's farm, and tablecloths and handmade mugs, and just there was so much thought that we put into anything that someone would touch and see and feel, have that be coming from a place of deeply caring and loving of the people that were there. And then giving people space in between the program to just be and just connect with each other. Um, and what happened in the first pilot program that we ran was so special. So we invited, for the first time that we ran the program, we decided to invite people that work in organizations that might be interested in connecting us with victim survivors or rescue group that might be interested in working with us. And so there were representative of different organizations that came together for this gathering. And by the end of the course, we were tight. And we've cried together, we laughed together, we ate a lot together. At the end of each course, everyone will make their little bundle of flowers to take home, and then listening to people sharing how they felt connected back into the group, as they sat with their little bouquet every week. It was just a really sweet and special way of creating community very, very quickly. So that was our first step in creating the Fostering Healing series. I think we will move into a video, or was someone going to share something? Am I missing something, Mary Lou and Anna?
Hang on a second, Anna. Hang on, can you pause for a second? Yeah, just pause a second before Jake. I just want to add one thing to what Shahar had shared, because I think it was at the first session, as Shahar mentioned, she did all the amazing dog training enrichment, and the role that I played was more around the human side, so mindfulness. So at the very beginning, the first session, she had a dog that she brought named Sky, who was a demo dog. So not her dog, it was one of her clients' dogs. Great dog, but very, very nervous. So Sky was incredibly nervous that day, and then understandably, and then even more so nervous when the group convened. And so we were arranged in a circle. So if you haven't gotten the gist of it, everything that we've done, who we invite in, how the space is set up, everything we do is done with so much intentionality, and very much the energy that we put into it. Right. So Shahar is, the first part of the agenda Shahar has, and then it's time for her to hand it off to me to kind of lead a mindfulness activity, right? And at that point, Sky is like really, really nervous, like making a lot of noise, barking, making all kinds of noise, and it's just high pitch, right? Now, I have led a lot of meditation sessions. I've done a lot of mindfulness. I've been meditating for over 30 years, but never have I had to lead a mindfulness activity with a really, really hyper nervous dog that is high pitched squealing, right? So at that moment, I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to do, right? I had to make a choice, and I had to make a decision as to what I'm going to do. And I decided that I'm going to do, practice everything that I tell people to do, is just be in the moment. So I invited everyone to just breathe and to actually hear and listen to Sky's high-pitched squeal, right? Just everything, and just feel it. What did you feel in your body? What sensations? What did you notice, right? So instead of shoving it away, is like actually being able to know. And then as that went on, within 5 minutes, and then beginning to focus on our breathing, I could literally feel the energy starting to calm, right? You could feel it in the air. It just started to calm. And then it got quiet. In fact, one of the participants after when I did a debrief, she said, I actually felt like I needed to open my eye and actually see was Sky still there. Right? So that was something unplanned, right? So that's part of listening. That was unplanned, trusting that moment. And that was such an incredible tool and lesson for the others that say our energy, how we show up in this world directly impacts the animal and vice versa. Yeah. So I just wanted to add that. Now, Anna.
Hi, my name is Jacob Husted. I'm the Director of Development and Communications at Women's Advocates. We were founded in 1970. Women's Advocates. We were founded in 1974 as the first domestic violence shelter in the country. And I first met Shahar Mary Lou after we were contemplating our pet foster program for women's advocates. We knew that over 48% of victim survivors who seek shelter after a domestic violence situation decide not to take that shelter because they have a pet at home and have no place to care for them. So we started a pet foster program that utilizes our volunteers and supporters to help take care of those animals when families are seeking shelter. And it was going very well. It still is going very well. But what we realized is we really needed new communities to utilize for this program and to grow our foster base. Shahar and Marilu brought the idea of Four Winds Canine Connections foster training to us. And over a 4-week period, we sat down with a group of like-minded people really motivated to learn the basics of dog training. And what was really unique about the program is that we focused a lot on ourselves and the human side of dog training. We focused on self-care and finding peace and calmness in our body and consistency in our practice, because those things really go a long way in creating calm and loving relationships with our pets and with the pets that we foster. We know that a lot of victim survivors want to work with animals and love the idea of providing care for animals while other survivors seek safety and shelter, but they don't always have the capacity or the knowledge to do that. And it seems like one other thing that they have to do early after leaving abuse. And what I think is very cool about this program is it will give them some of those social and emotional skills that help them care for a pet and create belonging for a pet and help a pet heal after the trauma of abuse. At the same time as building skills that will help them just in daily life, find healing and find wholeness after the trauma that they've experienced.
So as we grow the pet fostering program, we are finding that we want to make sure that we offer it to marginalized groups that don't have access to a lot of support, that we want to build a community for people who want to get involved and don't know how. We're looking at providing compensation for people who have went through the program, who've qualified to become fosters, who may not have a lot of financial stability in their life, where adding one more thing can feel like too much, but having fostering be something that is actually helping financially will be helpful. And so the fostering healing program keeps growing and changing, and we keep learning how to best serve and who to offer the program to. From the pilot program that we built, something amazing was born that we did not expect. And so as people were talking, and connecting from the different organizations that we invited, that longing for something that will work for everyone together became apparent. Where different rescue groups and different domestic violence shelters were working one-on-one with each other, there was nothing that was connecting the whole. And from this get together that we did, from this 4 simple gatherings, we've kind of birthed the idea of creating the Minnesota Pet Foster Coalition. And that coalition was born to do exactly that, is to bring together all the resources that are needed to address the need to support victim survivors that have pets, and make the transition that they need into safety and have what they need to have their animals cared for. I think I will move things back to Mary Lou to keep talking about the coalition.
Thanks, Shahar. Yeah, so Minnesota Pet Foster Coalition is made up of 6 nonprofits. 3 are domestic violence shelters, and then 3 animal well-being. So 4 Winds, Bond Between, and Animal Humane Society. So based out of the biggest 72-hour fosters was the need, we decided as a group meeting that we would put a press release out to kind of like throw it out into the universe, right? That we needed fosters. I had been told, that it's going to be hard to find fosters. That was actually what I was told by a couple people in animal welfare, that everybody wants fosters. And, my thinking was, we're not reaching out to the animal welfare community, quite frankly, right? We're tossing it out into the universe and kind of like seeing what we'll look for. And so we put it out about, maybe about 3 weeks ago, maybe 3.5 weeks ago. We have had 152 people respond, indicating that they are interested in volunteering, either fostering or transporting. Of the 152, 90% of them have indicated that they can foster the 72-hour foster, right? 50%, 51% have indicated that they can foster for up to 90 days. A majority of those that filled out the interest form, many of them hadn't fostered before, right? Many of them came not because they were involved in animal welfare. So it was exactly what we thought was going to happen, was we wanted to reach the individuals who cared about the humans as well, not just the animals, but cared about the humans. And so, since then, we have been able, since it's a brand new program, we've had 10 animals, mostly 8 cats, 2 dogs, right, that have requested respite foster. We have been initially we plan on just going through the ones that are working with the domestic violence shelters, but because we've gotten such a large pool of volunteers who want to foster and get involved, we are opening it up, to not even, we're reaching out to shelters beyond these 3, right? So this program is going to continue to grow. I mean, it's early stages, and we've made it very clear, like in an informational session, we're going to make mistakes, right? That's the one thing we can probably assure you, we're going to make mistakes. And I think the important part is building that community, building relationships, learning from each other. And so as Shahar and I didn't know that this was going to birth when we started fostering healing, in the same way, we don't know what's going to happen. We've already been contacted by individuals from other states, right? Interested in, what can we do to start something in our place? What can we, and we are not experts, right? But I think what we have done well is how we have cultivated and really nurtured the relationships, and how we listen to each other. Anything I'm missing, Shahar, Anna? And I'm going to hand it to you, Anna.
One thing that I wanted to say is that it's wonderful to see still how organizations that have not worked together in the past, which we were kind of surprised to hear that the different domestic violence organizations did not collaborate before, and how they are trusting more and more this process of coming together, sharing resources, and also I wanted to mention how much the coalition is allowing us to rely on each other for resources, right? So if one organization has great marketing team, then they're taking over marketing for the coalition. And knowing that some organizations are really overwhelmed and understaffed, then Four Winds was able to step in and take care of all the emails coming in. Thank you, Mary Lou. And I'm able to support all the fosters that need to chat about potty training and crate training and a dog being a little too mouthy. There's a person there to walk them through every step. So we're continuing, even in the coalition, this idea of building community and supporting one another, if it's between the organization or the foster community that is being created.
Right, over to you, Anna.
Right. So I wanted to share a few things. If this story is inspiring to you at all, I wanted to provide an avenue to do some exploration about the resources available in your own communities. So if you go to Safe Havens for Pets, they have a ton of resources, one of which is it's a study that was done by the Animal Welfare Institute. And it's called the Safe Havens for Pets Mapping Project. And essentially the methodology for the study was just the population for each US county was determined from the US Census Bureau, and then each county in the US, the number of safe havens per capita was calculated. And right now I'm going to go ahead and post in the chat a link to this study. So what they did then is figure out, okay, what's the rate of safe haven placements for every 100,000 residents. And in Hennepin County, which is in Minnesota, that's Minneapolis, St. Paul, where we're based, where Four Winds Connections is based, the rate in 2020, so before this partnership came together, was 0.55 safe haven placements for every 100,000 residents. And obviously, that doesn't come anywhere close to meeting the need. And so when we say safe haven, what does that mean? It's not just fostering, as we've been talking about. It also includes co-housing, on-site kenneling, off-site kenneling, veterinary lodging. It also includes boarding, but they're really more broadly defined as sheltering services that help individuals experiencing domestic violence place their companion animals out of harm's way. The survey has its limitations, but it's still helpful to kind of get a sense of what the need is in your community. And then I also wanted to share that, Four Winds Connections is all about, well, we're all about sharing. And so we want to provide this group with some of the work that we've done to date. We don't believe that everything has to be done from scratch. And so one of the things that you'll find is a presentation. So it's slides for an information session for new fosters. It's a handbook on the first 72 hours for foster volunteers. So introduction of pets, potty training, all the things that Shahar mentioned. We're also going to be sharing an article from the Journal of the American Veterinary Medical Association, and that looks at it's a very small study, but it looks at the effectiveness and the necessity of safe havens for victim survivors. And, for people who are interested in doing this work, it's one of many studies out there that could serve as a proof of concept. doesn't want. So I'm going to close out of this and pull up our final slide. Marlu and Shahar, if you could just do sing a quick song while I do that. No pressure.
I was gonna say,
And definitely do a dance like a
Like a dance.
we got you.
taiko, taiko drumming. We'll do some taiko drumming.
There you go.
No.
Um,
Do you want us to keep
so
talking?
essentially, I want to share, as I'm pulling up this, the last slide in our presentation, we're a brand new nonprofit. And so the three of us are essentially volunteers still, but, we're looking to grow. We're looking to bring more attention to the work that we're doing. So we do really appreciate anyone who can follow us on Facebook or follow us on Instagram. It makes a big difference. I think how many are we up to? Maybe 80 people following us, something like that.
We have 50 on Facebook, right?
We have 50 on Facebook. Okay.
150.
Oh, 150. Psh. Well, we can just stop there then. So, let me share this final slide. Here it is.
I can try to answer some questions if we need to.
Yeah.
Here
So
we go.
anyway, there it is. Just had a little malfunction. All right. Can you all see that?
We
No.
see your presenter window.
Oh, gross.
All right, why don't we start answering the questions and you can work on getting us the slide back up. Does that sound good?
That sounds good. And before I hand it off, I really wanted to say if, because we are new, we're still learning. But we're hoping that if anyone wants to learn more about the Foster Healing Series or about the Minnesota Pet Foster Coalition, that everyone feels comfortable reaching out to us. We'd love to have that conversation with you. So if Marlu or Shahar, you want to take it from here. At some point in the next, I don't know, 3 to 4 hours, I will get this last slide up, I promise.
So yeah, just echoing what Anna says, I think Four Winds is very much interested in growing nationally and working with communities outside of Minnesota. So if you are a shelter who does not have a respite program or is not working with the domestic violence shelters, but is interested, and it will be helpful to have somebody walk alongside you as we figure things out, let us know. We're here and we definitely want to hear from people. I think there was quite a few questions about the Fostering Healing series. So the Fostering Healing series kind of took a pause for the coalition right after we ran its pilot program. We got very, very busy and worked for months to prepare for the release. What is it called, Mary Lou?
The respite
The
foster?
press release. Yes, I lost the word press for the press release. And so we have not run it outside of the pilot program. We're kind of getting back into launching it, and we're not going to be offering it to regular pet owners. For now, it will only be for people who are interested in fostering and haven't had access to that experience. So working probably with DV shelters and reaching out to survivors and working with youth at risk programs. And so really connecting and collaborating with organizations that are working with communities that are marginalized and offering the program through them.
And Shahar, I had a question that kind of went along with what you were responding to, and that's if you can highlight some of the benefits that you see for other organizations that may be interested in partnering, even within your community or nationally.
Yeah, I can start, and Mary Lou and Anna, feel free to jump in. I think the idea of connecting different organization and working together is a really powerful one, and it creates possibilities and opportunities, and I think it will be different opportunities in different communities about what is possible. I think your foster pool is going to be broadened by bringing people who are interested in supporting the mission of respite care. I think if you are able to connect to organization that can offer support when it's needed, for example, being able to have Four Winds support both communications and hands-on training support has been just tremendous for the success of this program. And so figuring out what is a program needing as far as resources and what different groups are already in existence that can come together and support that mission. I think it's a whole different way of looking at how to get a mission done, and I love it.
I see a few more questions in the chat. Is it free for fosters? Yes. Fosters are provided with all the supplies they need for the cats or the dogs that they foster, and they're provided support throughout their experience. We do not charge pet owners for for the safe haven for their pets. And let's see, Shahar, this question is aimed at you. How long is the foster healing series?
I'm trying to remember all the different. I think the first one was a 4-week program. So they kind of the introductory, get ready to bring a dog into your home. And we met 4 times. And then once you had, we were going to, instead of doing respite foster care, we are going to be collaborating with one of the rescue groups that we're working with and actually placing a dog from the rescue group and not from respite with the participants in the course, in the series, because we want to make sure that they get the full experience, since respite can be just for a few days or really not something that we can count on. And then we were going to take dogs that we knew are in the system and just run them through the program so people can get the full experience of fostering a dog. And then the training course was going to be a 3-month course.
Mhm.
Okay, everyone, we have about 2 minutes before we have to let you all go. So for the questions that we did not get to, we will take the ones that are left in the chat and move those over into the forum, thanks to our wonderful Maddie's team. So make sure you hop over there to follow up on those answers. And you guys can also, if you have questions that you guys start to think about at the end of the call, if you're like me, we're like, I should have said that. You can post those in the forum as well so that we can continue this amazing conversation. I just wanted to thank our speakers today. I am always in awe of your program. I am always in awe of you as individuals, and the work that you guys can do collectively to impact your community to such an extent, and bring individuals together. So thank you for joining us today, and sharing all of the amazing work that you guys have done. Again, if you guys want to support Four Winds Connections, we have their information in the chat, but it'll also be posted in Maddie's forum as well.
Thank you, everybody.
So much.
All right.